And what's going on, guys? Today we're just going to be covering a Dark Attacker team. As you know, we're always going to be running two Venus Mons on this team. One will be a Great Embracer and the other will be a Fortifying Charge. The Great Embrace is needed because we needed to essentially double cast with a double spell or combo magic, and the Fortifying Charge combos with Highland, the burst, so that we can always maintain a 55% stat buff in all stats for every Digimon. So also, we just want to have them both overprotective because that will increase the healing. The general rule of thumb here is every physical attacker on these teams will be a Brave type due to the agent skill that allows them to ignore 30% defense, and every magic attacker will be an Astute type, which will allow them to ignore 30% SPI, so they will always do extra damage. With this video, I'm just going to be a bit more inclusive. I've realized from a couple of these videos that I've done that there are a few other Digimon that kind of could be used, but that I didn't really include in the video. So with this one, we'll be a little bit more inclusive. But I think it's fair to say that a general rule of thumb is that any Digimon whose ability does roughly 90 damage, at least, is a good option. Some at like 85-ish are pretty good because they usually have an extra effect, but we'll just get into it. So the first one we'll be using here, which is quite funny, will be Mastimon. This Digimon is actually the light primer, but she can also double as a general attacker or a hitter in the dark team. She does a 90 base power skill that nullifies unfavorable compatibility, so it's always hitting for type neutral. It's decent. I mean, like I said, the damage is good. It's not anything phenomenal, but as I said, damage is pretty good. Next we have probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest Digimon in the game. We have Chronomon Destroyer mode. He has a 85 power type neutral nullifying, whatever you want to call it, fire move that hits all enemies for 85, which is pretty strong. It means that even if they're on a non-type effective team, they'll always be doing a lot of damage, or a lot of decent damage. Then we move on to his second skill, Chrono De-Evolution. This one's really strong. It's a single target dark magic attack, 80 power with a 100% chance to crystallize, and a 70% chance to reduce attack, defense, int, and SPI by 20%. And if the target's HP is 50% higher, it does even more damage. Now this move is really good because on the first cast, it will hit pretty hard. On the second cast, if the defense reduction procs, it'll hit even harder. And if they're like high HP, it'll just do a lot of damage. This Digimon is just really strong all around. So I would say he's definitely probably the one that you're going to go for. However, he is quite hard to unlock, so keep that in mind. Next we have Beelstarmon. She's also pretty good. We're just going to be going with the combo Astute Magic. I should have said before, that would basically be the same with these two as well, as they are also magic casters. But with her, she has a single target 90 magic damage attack that's always guaranteed to hit with a 10% crit chance. I mean, it's pretty good. As I said, 90 damage is probably the baseline. The 10% crit chance is nice, which means you have a chance to critical and do slightly more damage. Unfortunately, critical damage isn't that great in this game. And the other move we have here is the all-target 15 times 4 hit 10% crit chance move. I'm not very good at math, so that's something around, I want to say 70 maybe damage. Even then, it's still pretty decent considering it's with a primer. She's going to be doing some pretty decent damage to everyone. And then next we have Millenniumon. He has a 100 damage skill. It's single target, and it doesn't really have any extra effects, but even then it is still pretty strong, sitting at a 100 damage and a 50% chance to crystallize. So when it does come into play, it would be pretty good. It can be pretty good. We're going Stout, Strength, and Brave because we want to ignore defense and also do as much damage as possible with this move. We'll just be moving on to the Dark Primer for this team, Armageddonmon, one of my favorite Digimon. His second move is the Dark Primer move. It has an 80 base power and hits all enemies, inflicting dark resistance on them, which is really strong. His first skill does 120 damage and split into 3, which means it has 3 chances to crit as well, and it scales with your maximum health. Funnily enough, with Stout Strength, we always want to be at max health. We will actually be running him on a setup where he's always going to be, or looking to be, at 200%, meaning he's going to get the bonus damage boost from Stout Strength. So in general, this is a pretty strong setup for him, and he works quite well here. Unironically, you could probably run 2 of them together, one to just prime and the other to just do the damage. I probably wouldn't recommend it when you also have Digimon like Chronomon Destroyer mode, especially because he's an unknown type. He's not really going to be doing that much extra damage to other type of Digimon, but all in all, he's a really solid primer, and when I do make the primer tier list video, he will absolutely be in the upper echelon for primers. He is very, very solid and very, very strong. Next we have Plutomon, I believe, Zombie Mode. He's not great, but he's also not bad. His first skill is an all attack 70 damage, neutral, which is pretty good. And in the instances where you can inflict chaos, you can then status effect the enemy. It's useful when it's useful, but I mean, in general, you're just using this to clear mobs. It's not that strong. It's 70 power, but it's good enough. His second skill, however, is a single target 100 damage, which is quite strong. There isn't too much to say about him, except that his second move is quite strong at 100 power. And next we have Belphimon Rage Mode. This Digimon is quite strong as well, and you actually do have an option on how to build him. You can go Combo Magic and Astute, or you could go Stout Strength and Brave if you're going to focus more on his single target move, which is a 100 base power move, which is quite strong. And you can also then, as I built mine, use Combo Magic to focus more on the AoE. At 80 power, it's quite strong too. It also reduces speed for 3 turns. So either way you build him is quite strong and quite good. It just kind of depends on what you want to do here. I think if you want to maximize damage, you're probably going to go for the single target, but I will continue with this. Next we have Beelzemon Burst Mode or Blast Mode, however you prefer. We're just going to be going Brave Stout Strength on him. He has 2 moves. The first move has a really high SP drain of 4,574 for only 125, but once you've cast it, it's actually going to drain all of your SP. Personally, I don't think moves that drain all of your SP are kind of worth if they're only doing 125. I don't even think anything doing 140 is worth. I think if we're looking at a skill that's doing maybe upwards of 150 to 200, then it's more worth. So in my opinion, we're basically never using this move unless, you know, you're about to run out of SP and maybe the boss is just about low enough, so you can potentially finish them off with this. But in general, we're just going to be using Death Slinger. It's quite strong at 100 base power. Just overall, this move is quite strong, and having this as a secondary is nice, but you're probably never going to use it. Overall, he's still a pretty strong Digimon, however. And next, we're going to be looking at, unironically, the only Aigyomon form that I do like. I don't know what the hell it's called, so I just call it the black one. He doesn't have any real damage in his first skill, so we can completely ignore it. However, his second skill is a primer move. It actually reduces dark res for one enemy. He's not great, he's not particularly fantastic or pretty strong. I like him more for his design. I think his design is really, really cool. But again, as a primer, he then does find some use here. And he's the only Aigyomon that I will not shit talk. So yeah, I think that deserves S tier in my opinion. Next we have, I believe, this is Junomon. I'm not too familiar. Junomon Horny Mode, Hangry Mode. I don't know. Either way, the first skill does 18 times 6 base power. I'm just going to assume that's about 90 damage, which is quite strong. The second move is a 100 flat that, if the damage is affected by a stat change, increases the damage from there. This Digimon is quite strong as well, doing quite a bit of damage in both of these cases. We're just going to build them for physical attack, so they're just going to be doing a lot of damage from there. So another solid Digimon to choose from. Next we'll be looking at Plutomon. He isn't all that great himself. Arguably, some people would say that Plutomon Zombie Mode is stronger, but I think based off of his first skill, which is the one we're going to be using, he can probably pump out more damage. So with his first skill, it has a 90 base power damage, but when it's used, it has a 100% chance to reduce the enemy's defense by 20% for 3 turns. If you just keep using this move, it's going to scale up in damage due to having the enemy defense dropped. So all in all, he may not be doing the most damage immediately, but he's still quite a solid pick in terms of the damage he's going to be doing. Also, the animation for his his second skill is really nice, although it doesn't do very much damage. We're just going to ignore that completely. The animations are quite nice, and he looks really cool. So For those Plutomon fans, he is most certainly a usable Digimon. And I think last but not least, the surprise of the list is Digimon Chaos Mode. I was really hoping, because this game seemed to have a lot of ties to Dawn and Dusk, that we would get Digimon Chaos Mode C, where his mask is a little bit different, but we got the regular one. He's still quite good too, and he also sits in a similar place to Belphemon, where you can build him as a physical attacker or a magic attacker. I think in this case, however, he is a bit better as a magic attacker. His first skill is really strong too, both of his skills doing 90 damage, this one doing 33 times, meaning you have 3 chances to crit. It removes all stat buffs from the enemy, which can be quite useful in some battles where the enemy buffs themselves. And his second skill, also doing 90 damage flat, increases the damage when up against vaccine Digimon, which is a lot of the Digimon that you're going to be going up against in the game. So it does give him a bit of a competitive edge over some of these other Digimon. But in general, as I said, any Digimon with about 90 base power is, in my opinion, viable and usable. And for a team build, we're probably going to want to look at something like this. It kind of depends how you want to run it, but generally the way I would say you want to build these teams is you want to have your primer, obviously, your 2 healers, and then you're going to take 3 hitters. 2 of those hitters should be a physical attacker, and 1 of them should be a magic attacker. Otherwise, you can do 2 magic and 1 fizz. You should always make sure you mix up. I think this is the most efficient and most effective way to build your team. I think this starting lineup is the best possible starting lineup for Dark, but you can also substitute for any others that you like. You could take Beelzemon, for example, you could take Digimon, for example, but either way, I think as long as you're building your team like this is what matters the most. Anyway, if you guys made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like. If you really enjoyed, you can always join as a channel member. It's like $2 a month. You get early videos, and you can also make video requests, and we will just go ahead and make those for you. Subscribe if you enjoyed. I think it's been a little bit busy when it comes to time, unfortunately. I haven't had too much time lately, which is why the videos are a little bit more infrequent, but I'm trying to put together the primer video, so I'll just have to ask that you guys are a little bit more patient with me on that one. But it is definitely coming as soon as possible. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.